absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
That's
right.
also why most people get scammed by these influencer based programs. No, they just look at the follower count and they're like, oh, he must be good.
And
No,
like
no,
I remember
can I give you an example of this thing? If you look at Nojo's recent post, you guys saw that?
Ah,
uh,
no, I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah, if you look at Nojo's recent thing, right? Like after the ban that he had, like again, he lift weights I can even never even think about. But if you kind of look at like all the maxing out he did for social media within
Yeah.
that time window, his total hasn't really gone up. In
Got on.
fact, like deadlift, he kind of like almost regressed in terms of that thing by a smidge.
the no
Bench, I
warm
think
up
like
narrative as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Absolutely. 100%.
see, just see, like Norman was telling me, the guy the first time he walked into a gym was pulling 200, like mid 200s, and in a month's time he was pulling 300, right? Kind of have to understand that his approach will not apply to you,
I mean,
right?
the guy is just gifted. That's all you
Yeah,
understand from that.
yeah,
It doesn't necessarily mean that he knows what he's doing. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to tell you what to do.
yeah. Because he's never sucked at it, so he doesn't have to like
Yeah.
almost like
He doesn't know.
engineer that process thing, no?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course, he'll probably know how to push hard and how to do it
Yeah.
really well and all of that. He'll know all of that. I'm not saying he's like lazy or something or
No,
anything of that sort. He
exactly,
would have
exactly.
worked
Yeah.
hard for whatever he's done. But it's if people are gifted, they see. I'll tell you one thing that I've seen that I told somebody else is that if somebody is gifted at a particular lift or at a sport, the positioning comes so naturally for them. If you see anybody who's very good at the deadlift, they just sit into position. They don't even have to be like, am I over midfoot? Am I hinging enough? Am I like reaching to the bar well enough? They don't even have to think about all that. Just sit, grab and pull.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how most people who are very gifted do it. If you see anybody who's gifted with benching also, they just kind of just go under the bar, they pick it off and then they just go at it.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about like, am I getting leg drive? Am I doing neck pressure enough and all of that? So you'll see that these kind of people, they can't teach people other people
Yeah.
because for them, it's like, it's so
That's the
natural.
baseline for them. So like anything
Yeah, like
below
it's
that
so
is like,
normal.
hmm.
And anything below that, they won't understand also. They won't like if some, like I have seen people like that when people are like, coach, I'm not getting, like I know people who've gone to coaches who are like that, who are like gifted lifters. And then they say, coach, I'm not able to get this part in deadlift. And they'll be like, just do it.
Try
Not-
harder.
Yeah, try harder. That's not a cue that you can give. That try hard, just do it. No, you can just do it. You're not trying hard enough. That's not that's not going to help the person do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a situation like this, like if you were to think about the next topic in the sense, it's essentially effective communication, right? There has got to be like something like just try harder or like that's not inherently effective in neither person's like side, right? So when we kind of think about effective communication, I think like in the beginning we spoke about the example of like if a certain day feels flat, if a certain day feels like beat up, communicating. Like in both situations, what do we see? A reduction in objective outcomes, right? Objective performance metrics. Like a person's not showing up well, but they can have that issue for multiple reasons, like pain, like and mentorship that I was doing at the moment is like the one with Skylar, Anas, and those guys. They were like, you need to, like when pain is complex or online, right? If a person can't tell me something hurts in a certain way, like it becomes very difficult to resolve it. Then you kind of have to like pull back on stimulus and you kind of have to like detrain the system because you don't know, they can't effectively communicate to you, right? So like when Kaushal, you work with like all these top end guys, right? What is the hallmark of an effective communicator to you, right? Like what is like the gold standard for you when a client communicates?
Good communication is always going to be just useful communication. Like I said before, like most people kind of just ramble on and on about things that don't matter. They'll sit and tell like I have literally seen people where they'll be like, today wasn't a good day because my mother didn't iron my clothes. And some shit like that. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? How did that affect? Yeah. Like I've seen things like that. So you have to give like actual communication. See, because that's what I said earlier, like 24 hours is what you have. You don't want to have nonsense conversations with people you don't even know. I'm not saying like you don't know your clients or you don't care about them, but it has to lead to an objective. The conversation has to lead somewhere.
Yeah.
You can't just sit there and have, it has to be productive.
How important
Once
is it
in a
to kind
while,
of-
I understand. Sorry?
No, I was just going to say, how important is it to kind of understand the difference in a coaching relationship and a friendly relationship kind of a situation there?
This is like a very important thing for us here.
Yeah, because they're venting.
Yeah, see, I think it's a thing that I tell like a lot of people because I've had a lot of people join me for coaching just because they wanted to become friends with me. And I feel like you can't force that two-way.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can, we can be friends if I also want to be friends. you can't try to be a friend of mine when I am not interested in being a friend of yours.
I'm paying you. Why aren't you my friend?
Yeah, it is like that. People actually think like that. Like I am
Yeah,
paying
that's
you, I am doing my,
prostitution.
like I had, that's like, I'm just your prostitute for the day then.
Yeah.
Like it's so weird. I don't want to be that. See, I understand. Like there are certain people that I've coached for so long that are very good friends of mine.
Hmm.
And there are certain people that I've coached for so long who are still not friends with me. We're friendly. I think people misunderstand that. We're friendly with each other. Like we can make fun of each other. We can joke about things. We can talk about things from time to time. But I prefer not doing that too much.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'd rather do the work with them.
Yeah.
And then there are some people that are with me because we're very good friends.
Hmm.
And we can be very good friends. Like for them, it's not like they'll still pay, they'll still do the work. But for the most part, we don't even talk about training. It's just a general life or something like that.
And
Yeah.
Like I have
thing
very
is-
good friends like that.
Yeah. And the thing is, I feel having this sort of differentiation between like a coach-client relationship and a friend-friend relationship is like pretty important, especially when it like comes to this, because a lot of people forget that at the end of the day, like your coach is a person who is there to provide you with like if I were to just sum it up like with a service essentially to help you grow, like to help you like, completely. They like kind of put that bhaichara, brotherhood, friendship, whatever above the coach client relationship, and then even when they realize that the coach is not good for them, they just can't leave. They're like, no, he's my friend. This is
Yeah. Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
something I've
Yeah.
seen with- yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I'll tell you what I used to tell, because this whole thing reminds me of how, to some degree, how Rajat and I used to work, where we were like very obviously we were very good friends, and we were very close to each other. But I always used to tell him that at any point of time, if he feels like I'm not doing a good enough job for him to go to where he needs to be, because I always told him like he has potential to be a world champion, with or without any external help, right? I always knew that he had the potential to be there. He deserves to be there because of the kind of person that, at least as far as I know, that he used to be. And also he was a very, very strong, very gifted person from day one. So I always used to tell him that you deserve to be there, whether it's with me or not. And I used to tell him that as a coach, whether I exist or not, you need to go there. So if you feel like I'm not doing a good enough job, regardless of whether we're brothers or not, you have to leave. And that's totally fine.
That's
like
a
whenever,
very important boundary to set.
yeah, you have to understand that comes also with maturity from both people. That part you have to understand. The only way you can let the other person also continue to do what they're supposed to do is sometimes by leaving. Whether whatever reason and all is irrelevant. But at some point of time, if either one party feels like it's not working out anymore, that's fine. Without letting the friendship get affected too much or anything like that, you can leave.
Yeah.
There is no problem with that at all. So that's why I don't have a problem with like athletes leaving. There's no issue with that at all. If an athlete feels like they're not doing well here and they want to leave, that's totally fine. Because I'm not somebody who can work with everyone, nor neither can every single person on the planet work with me.
Yeah.
Because I know that sometimes
Yeah.
maybe I can also come off as very this thing.
No, because Sean, this guy I was learning from was saying the same thing. Like, you need to understand the kind of people you want to attract.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning, I made a mistake of just like accepting everyone that would kind of
Yeah.
come in, and that was the biggest red flag I ever had.
No, but
Like,
then see, to some degree, when you're a new coach, you don't have an
Yeah.
option
yeah,
because you have to take in people and you have to show results and all. But at some point of time, you kind of have to. I mean, if you build the narrative from day one that this is what you are and this
Yeah.
is what you're looking for, then you have more of an inclination of getting the kind of people you want to work with.
Yeah.
But it will take more time because you're rejecting people also.
Yeah.
But that probably is a better way to go about it in the long term because it sets a precedence of like what kind of a person you are, what kind of a coach you are, who you're willing to work with, who you're not, what you're not okay with, what you're okay with. So you're setting very clear boundaries, right?
And I want to mention that I did have certain privileges that allowed me to be like a little bit like that, right? And it's like Kaushal said, if you don't have it, you kind of have to like take all comers maybe to kind of
If you don't have the money, you need to pay rent. You don't have food to eat, then you have to kind of just be like, yeah, I'm okay with whoever comes. But like after a certain point, but that also you have to understand that like your give and take is like the more you allow the athlete to get away with things, the more they're going to get away with.
Yeah.
So at some point, you're going to have to put your foot down and be like, yeah, look, I don't give a shit about your money. You can leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Norman said something important here is like if one person takes 90% of your effort,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
90% of your roster will suffer because of that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. No, that's kind of why I keep saying. That's why I keep saying, no, like the communication has to be effective because I can only talk about my situation, and my thing is very unique because somebody with my roster size usually doesn't work with everybody one on one. They usually have
Yeah.
somebody working under them, and they just distribute that person to them, and they may or may not even know that you're even there.
Yeah.
But I have that thing where I'm working with like what 100 something, 140, 150 people, and all of them I am individually talking to. I'm individually looking at stuff. I'm individually watching everything. I'm watching, updating program, taking stuff, taking feedback. Every single thing is what I'm doing, right? I need people to be more efficient in my case. So that's why sometimes when they start blabbering, I just ignore them. It's not because it's not because I'm an asshole and I don't have, like, I don't care about them. It's because like I have other things that require my attention.
The rest of the roster also like
Yeah,
does
they also need it. Like I have sometimes I have guys who'll be like completely down in the dumps. They'll start crying. They'll be like, I don't know my life, this, that. And I'm like, see, I understand, but I can't be there because there are like 149 other guys waiting for me.
yeah, makes sense.
So I can't just be there sitting like because this is something that happened recently where somebody was like, I don't know, this happened, I had a breakup, that happened, this thing broke, that thing happened. And I'm like, see, I understand. So I'll talk to you once about it. But if I hear that multiple times over the course of multiple days, I'm just like, bro, I got better things to do. And along with 150 other people, like 150 people, I have my own thing to do. I have my own shit going on. Like I'll also have my own life. I'll also have my own thing. That's the thing that people don't get.
Don't view you as human. Like you also have your struggle.
Yeah, they don't understand. I think this is not just about coach client thing. I think in general people are like that. But their thing is their thing, but other people's thing is not the thing. So they don't really understand like which is kind of weird to me because if I was always told like if you don't like something happening to you, don't do it to someone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I always used to be like, yeah, I don't like somebody doing that, so I wouldn't.
Makes sense.
But a lot of people are not like that, is what I've understood. They just don't seem to care.
Most people are not like that. That's
Yeah, most people don't have that basic empathy part, like what to ask, when to ask, whether it's okay to do that. And I get really annoyed sometimes because I have this thing where I'll try my best to communicate with everyone every day. That's already doing more than most coaches.
Yeah.
I'll at least communicate every single day to some degree. I won't sit and have full-fledged conversations maybe, but I'll look through everything and I'll tell you what needs to be changed, what needs to improve, and then I'll go away. Right? When I get somebody saying like, I prefer if you can talk to me more, then you should start paying me more.
simple.
Not for what, not for what I'm charging. There's no way. I think people don't understand. There's a point where you're being nice, and then there's a point where you're being exploited.
Yeah.
Once people think that you're okay with, oh, like I can just message him at like any time of the day and he should reply to me, that's exploitation. You need to be patient enough for like what they're like most people get back to you in 24 hours. That's the usual thing. But most people don't do that also. Usually they'll get back to you at the end of the week. If they don't, even that is rare. Weekly ones also is rare. People will get back to you months later. And that's only when you have to start paying again. Not because your program needs an update.
Yeah.
I think most people would be understanding what I'm talking about. So many coaches are like this.
There's a lot of coaches in India. Like they ghost you for 16 days and then bro, payment date is here.
Yeah, they'll always come back when it's time to pay. They'll be like, yeah, it's time for you to make your payment. So yeah, that's why like one good thing that I have is that whenever I make any kind of story related stuff about payments, even if people do forget they pay, in most cases they don't forget because they know that once I find out that they're not paid on time, I'll just kick them out. Because I don't have a problem. I have waiting list of like there are people who've been waiting for years who want to work with me. But I can do that. Most others can't do that.
Can't do that. Yeah. Absolutely makes sense. And yeah, the athlete communication, like this was like a good discussion here. Points on the actual slide itself. I think this was more coach centric. So like coaches who are watching this, like, don't be too afraid to have difficult conversations. I just want to add a point to this here. Like difficult conversations, I feel I see a lot of coaches who are very again, like as Jay said, like yeah, if you've been through previous sports where you've completely like gotten rubbed, like have those kinds of coaches. I had this like when I did tennis previously. Jay had this one in combat sports and all. But I don't feel like that is the most productive way in powerlifting. That's just personal. I feel like having some sort of like an approachable, like just being approachable, being open-minded, like written there, just so that people are able to come to you and tell you even if something goes wrong, rather than being so strict.
Yeah.
If I were to
Yeah.
phrase it like that, or just like just not being abusive. If very simply, just not being abusive towards your athletes. Um, if God forbid something goes wrong to the point where they're afraid of telling you anything in the future, I think that is something to keep in mind. Like when we say like you should be able to have difficult conversations, that does
Yeah.
not mean that you're going to be taking your anger out on your athletes or just anything
Yeah,
like
because
that.
that's a thing though. That's an actual thing that I realized.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like I had a
Little,
guy tell me like I didn't want to tell you this because I didn't want you to get angry at me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean I get angry at you? And then he was just like, I thought I was letting you down. I'm like, dude, this is a very easily fixable problem for us if you can effectively communicate. Like, and this is where I would just argue that, like, even though my boxing coach was like hard on me, like I always trust him. Like, no one cares how much you know unless they know how much you care about them, right? Like a good coach can care about you without like having to kind of be like your emotional punching bag kind of a
Right.
situation. You can have like very honest. I think hard conversations are a reflection of someone actually caring about you,
Hmm.
right? Like only the people who care about you will be honest to your face, right? And like it's very doable. And I think yeah, and in my opinion, my limited experience, the guy who was getting like I had like I think three guys now who kind of had that kind of situation. It largely stems from the fact that the coach wasn't willing to say I didn't know. Like, and I tell people like, dude, I tell people like, if I don't know the people I'm being mentored by, I'll always ask them for feedback on these things as well. I don't hide that reality at all. Right. But like, I think effective communication, yeah, like they should know. I completely agree with you on that, Tapas. Like, there should not be an element of fear from the other
Yeah.
side. Or can I trust this guy even with my vulnerability?
yeah, for sure. Like only person that I've ever abused Adrish. Other than that, I've never abused anyone else. So like if at any point of time, even him, for example, even after that, it's not like he doesn't come and tell me stuff. He come and talk to me about stuff. Because he knows that it's only because I care.
Yeah.
Because if I stop caring, it means that I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be like, okay, you can do whatever you want. Like whether you follow the program, you don't follow the program, I really don't care at that point. As long as you make the payment on time, I'm fine with it. Right? Because at that point, I've checked out.
Absolutely.
So the like he understands that I still care a lot about his lifting because I see a lot of like he can do so much better than he is, and he can genuinely become somebody, one of the top athletes in the country as long as he just keeps his head straight and doesn't let other things come in the way. So, like even someone like him, they feel like. But I can understand like this part of like people are very scared to have conversations with me because of they think that I'll say something very. That's not the case. Like I'm very understanding.
Yeah.
For the most part, at least I am understand. As long as you have like a good this thing, I'm understanding. Like for example, I had a guy who was going through something rough, and I was very patient with him for like 2 months. But then after 2 months, you kind of have to get your shit together. You can't be doing that for so long.
Yeah.
That's when I had to be like, bro, you can either like give up and move on to something else, or like you do it. That's up to you.
Mhm.
But I have to tell you that much at least. So you need to have like at least conversations about if it's actually affecting things, then you should.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be like, this has nothing to do with my coach. You should have some like you don't have to come and tell everything. You can
Yeah.
just give something like I'm having some family problems at the moment, so I don't think I can do that. And the coach will obviously be like, yeah, I understand. What kind of coach is going to be like, hey man, fuck your family, go do your SPD?
Yeah.
In-
Yeah.
No, I don't think anybody is going to be like that. No one should be like that.
I'm pretty sure there I could like probably name like, but I'm not gonna. But like, there's a few coaches.
Defamation, please don't.
Yeah, a few coaches who would be like that. But yeah, absolutely, you shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, you shouldn't be like that. I mean, see, there's a trade-off of things like if your training is getting consistently inconsistent due to family issues, you also have to understand that your training is not going to go well because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't sit there and blame your coach also for stuff like that. You can't be like, why am I not progressing? How is this? Like, you need to change something. And the coach is just going to be like, bro, your family thing is going on. How can I do
Yeah.
anything about that? Right. So you have to be objective about that also. You have to understand where you currently stand so that
Mm.
both of you can understand, like, yeah, okay, see, this is the situation. If you can't train for 5 days as usual, we'll make it 4. If 4 is not
Mm.
possible, we'll make it 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is usually how I go about things. When people are like, no, I'm not able to do this because of this. I just got married or I had this, I had this. I'm like, we can just cut things down to 3 days. We can still have 3 effective days of training in the
Yeah.
week.
A
But
sustainable
like,
3 produces more results than an
then
unsustainable
yeah,
4.
like 0. Yeah. That's what I keep telling. But see that people have that shit, the same thing
More
that
is
you were
better.
talking about, right? Like, no, not about more is better, but they feel like, oh, I'm letting you down. Oh, but you gave
Ah.
me 5. If I can't do 5, I'm letting you down.
Yeah.
3 again, you're changing it to 3. Maybe I won't progress the same. You won't progress the same regardless if these things are out of place.
Yeah.
So you're
Like
gonna
you're
have
just trying to program around what else is happening to just make sure
yeah,
improvement.
we are just trying to make sure that you are able to still do something
Hmm.
and still get some kind of progression here without allowing you to get too affected on the outside. That's how, like, that's what custom programming essentially is.
Yeah.
When people say that I program custom for my clients, that's what it means. That you're taking into consideration what they can do, what they can't do at the moment, and then you're making changes based off of that.
Yep.
That is literally what like custom coaching or custom programming means. When people say we make programs catered to or tailored to your needs, that's what it means. It's not about like, because the exercises and all programming wise are going to be very similar.
Mm.
It's not like you don't have like a special lat insertion somewhere else that needs a special different lat exercise.
Yeah.
Most people are going to have lat pull downs, rows, some form of rowing, some form of vertical, some form of horizontal rowing. Everybody's going to have something like that, and then it's just how much they can handle. Then you make changes based off of that, so that their SBD also shows up. That's mostly how we go about things.
And
That's
yeah,
why, like, when we talk about this intent and that athlete intent as well as buy-in of coaching, that's the reason why I feel like, I think in today's day and age, programming of course matters, but I don't think it matters as much as people think it does. Like, they have this thing of, they think like like my program has to be so intricately planned that it has to make, like, it has to be like the most well-designed program ever, which is something that the coach should be doing for everyone they coach to some degree. Of
Yeah.
course, not for, like, for newer lifters, you're still going to go off of a framework that you understand as a coach. Like, every coach has their own framework of things, like 5 days, 4 days, 3 days. They
Hmm.
feel like this structure is what works for most people. And then you put it on that person. And then you see, like, okay, block 1, this person did not do so well with the structure that I go with usually. So maybe I need to make some changes.
Yeah.
And like, that also has to be objective, because that's also where communication matters. Like, if the person didn't do it well,
Hmm.
right? If they did not do it well, then as a coach, you also have to be objective. Like, okay, this is not me making a mistake. This is the athlete not doing the work. So I think that, like, we can probably repeat this, and I want you to do better.
Under better
Right.
circumstances, things like
Yeah, under better circumstances, or like, I want you to do better in these aspects where you didn't put in effort. But if you did everything you did everything right, and then you're giving me feedback, then I can be like, okay, I did not do my job really well. Maybe I should have changed this. Given that, so given this feedback, I'm going to change that. So
Yeah.
that's where, like, I'll adjust based off of something, because a lot of times, like, what I have understood is, like, a lot of times the athletes don't do well.
Hmm.
But that's also a problem, because that's where it leads to lazy coaching, no? Because you can just be like, you didn't do well,
Yeah.
and I won't change anything because, yeah, I can
feel-
just be like,
Yeah,
go on.
I feel like it's like why, like we talked about in the previous slide as well. Leading by example, like just being able to express as a coach, also like for coaches watching this, just being able to express what you expect from the athlete. I think that by itself also changes a lot of things. Like instead of just sending them the program and just like telling them to follow this, you could also be like quite intricate. Like I remember how like you have this thing where you talk about exactly how you want things to be filmed, exactly how you want things to be carried out. So that sort of a thing, like something like a briefing at the beginning, if I were to say it like that, that could make like quite a difference instead of just sending them the program and telling them, yeah, just follow this.
Yeah. So you can have like a assuming that the athlete is somebody who wants to understand also
Mhm.
and will follow through, because there are some cases where you might send everything properly and they still don't care.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So assuming that that's the thing, that's the best way to go about it, where you have like a brief explanation of why or what you're looking for.
Hmm.
And see, like this probably will make people question things where they'll be like, oh, so each block. So like one question that I might get often is like, what is the purpose of this block? And the purpose of every single block is to get bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
That is the actual purpose of every single block. Bottom line, that is the actual thing. But when we talk about specifics, for example, because the person that asked me this question, I can understand. Like I'm thinking about it. For him, the problem was that he had problem with execution with squat, and then he had a problem with the execution of pacing the block. Two things. So that's where I started adjusting things for him. And when that happened, he started feeling a lot better. So we've basically achieved getting bigger and stronger by me making these changes. Right. But that's what, like, you have to understand, like the communication has to come from them.
Hmm.
You also have to be able to communicate to them and tell them that this is what we are doing. And if they follow, they'll do well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, makes sense. And just regarding like the initial point you said about the Jay, do you want to add anything? Do you want to?
No. I'm just saying like you communicate everything effectively, and like one of the things I've struggled with, like personally, is that like my sheet system, I feel like if you were to just like input the data, because sometimes people don't do that, and I kind of have to mention to them like, dude, like this gives us a lot of objective feedback, right? It tells me the trend very easily. It allows me to kind of curtail certain things. Like Norman kind of made this, like, again, I give a lot of credit to Norman and the fact that he was just like, you gotta create a framework, explain the framework, and have the person understand the flow, right? And this is where I think, like last episode, we kind of spoke about the fact that you should actually question your coach in
Yeah.
some things, like in a respectful way, be like, hey man, like, is there a reason I do this? Like a guy recently asked me, he's very new to powerlifting, and he was just asking me, like, just general lifting, and he was asking me, like, why is there one rep range on one day? Why is there another rep range on another day? Right? Just like a basic understanding like that kind of allows him to get the things that he needs. And I think explaining those things becomes important. And communication, like I said, like that 24-hour window communication, as Kaushal mentioned, like if you kind of go look at some of the coaches outside, like Kaushal, like people charge like $200, $250 for like stuff like that, right?
Weekly
Or like
check-ins,
weekly.
No, even daily communication is not a thing. They'll do it like once
Yeah,
in
no,
2 days or
Yeah.
3 days.
yeah,
And they'll usually have a weekly communication. Like once in 2, 3
yeah,
days is also only if there's something specific you need. And only then they will ask you, or they'll get back to you. And then the usual, this thing is like weekly ones, they'll see if everything
yeah,
is going fine. The whole block is usually given at once. So they
yeah,
don't really have to make adjustments if everything is going fine.
yeah.
And then at the end of the block, you just have a conversation saying that, okay, this block was good or this block was bad.
Hmm.
And that is usually what good coaches do. It's not even bad coaches doing that.
Yeah.
So if you talk about bad coaches don't even get back to you once you're done the payment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
And, and from like an athlete communication standpoint, like if you could understand the fact that the athletic and coach interaction is largely rooted in performance, like you can have personal grievances like voiced out in terms of a performance impact, like I should say, like you're going through stress in life, you're going through something like that, like that helps us. All right.
Yeah.
Like this is something I personally do. I was like told by this by out of the 4 mentorships that I've done, like on this stuff, like all 4 of them have mentioned this thing. If a client comes to you with severe like eating disorder related aspects or psychological related impairments of these things, empathy should always be shown, but it's on us to kind of direct them towards like a trained specialist in the field. I think
Yeah.
that's also something that people
Yeah.
should do. And like,
Yeah.
especially, I don't care like if people take this the wrong way, but like if someone comes with a psychological like distress, you're not an expert in that. I'm not an expert in that thing,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I have the emotional maturity of a banana, dude, at times, right? So I should not be like advising anyone on their like with their emotional responses. I always kind of refer them out to like a friend of mine who I think she does a great job with this stuff, and I just tell people, hey, maybe this is a person that you can, right? Like, because a guy kind of brought some very sensitive information towards me, and I said, it's not that I don't care. She said, I want you to get the right help, right? So communication is like performance related, but I think just from my limited experience coaching, if it's not within your wheelhouse, always kind of refer
Yeah.
out to someone that has that in their
Trying
wheelhouse.
to solve these sorts of like major problems which are outside of your spectrum could end badly more than you could think.
Yeah, there are no breathing drills for like chronic depression, dude.
Yeah,
You can't PRI yourself out of this thing.
yeah, exactly.
Uh, yeah, I mean, there are like so many people who do this in India. I think the coaching environment and the coaching ecosystem is pretty bad
Hmm.
because in other countries you'll see like, for example, you were just talking about it before. We are like Joe Stanek
Yeah, it's
takes care of
programming.
Austin Perkins programming, but then anytime they need anybody to take a look at his movement screening and stuff, uh,
Yeah,
somebody
you
like
fall out the
Keenan,
peanut. Yeah.
yeah, like somebody like Keenan will come in, or like I've seen so many people work with John Sung in that capacity,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where like he'll step in and he'll help with physio related stuff. So you like these people are also powerlifting coaches.
Hmm.
They're not just physios, right? They are themselves powerlifting coaches. They're successful at what they do. They have good lifters under them. So they can very easily sit with the athlete and be like, hey, look, your coach doesn't know shit, bro. I'm going to help you out. But they don't do that. They let the coach continue the programming part, and then they let the coach, and then they do the physio part,
And
or
that's
they do
like
the movement part.
for some reason I've seen this to be like a mental thing here, like not mental thing, but like just it's a mindset thing. From like a few people that I've spoken to who are, you could say, relatively new or like just at the surface, right? They think that everybody should know everything when you're hiring a coach,
Oh,
which is
Yeah.
I feel it is like a little bit of a common mindset here. Like,
No,
okay,
that is one thing. But then people have too many problems with trying to work with other people,
yeah, exactly.
and they also like to badmouth a lot. Like if you ever like I've seen like I know coaches who've referred clients out to somebody for nutrition, and that person is like, why are you still with your coach? He's not able to help you with nutrition. Let me take care of everything. Right. So you don't have that
It's hostile.
ecosystem. Yeah, you don't have that ecosystem in India because people don't seem to have the maturity also to just be like, yeah, this is not my domain. Like, go to somebody who understands that. Because see, when somebody comes to me and they say, can you do midday nutrition
and
program nutrition? I don't do it. Can I learn about it and do it? Yes, I can, but I have no interest in learning, so I'm not good at it. So I'm not going to do it.
That makes sense.
I'm not going to sit and be like, no, I'll help you or I'll do this for you. I'll tell them that to go to somebody else who can do it. I won't do it. So you should have that much of self awareness to like
Integrity as
do
well,
that.
just to know what you
Yeah. It's also respect to the person to tell them and not waste their time instantly and be
Yeah,
like, no, I'll do it. Don't worry. Right. And then you do a bad job. And then that person is now like stuck between, because see, this also creates a kind of emotional weird situation. Like you said before, where you're like, oh, my coach is my friend, so I can't leave him even though he's a bad coach, right? Because you're like, well, my coach didn't know,
Hmm.
but then he tried.
Hmm.
Now I feel bad that he tried.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to keep trying with him. You have, see, that's only okay if both of you are understanding in that way, where you understand that each of you are just trying.
If there's like a benefit to both of you in doing that, maybe, yeah. But here, the only benefit would be for the coach. Like, okay, I'm just trying to learn. I have somebody to experiment on, and the
Yeah,
person
you're just
exper-
experimenting like too much at
Yeah,
that point.
exactly.
like honestly, there are some pain related issues with regard to the knees, right? There are some like sometimes a person recently bought like a medical report towards me, and like I quickly understood that that's outside my wheelhouse, right? Like, cause that is a level of like damage where it's not something I think a powerlifting coach should kind of do, like focus himself on, because that it was essentially like multiple ruptures and like the ligaments across the knee, and they had
Yeah.
like a hook tear of the meniscus. And these are the kind of things that I would think someone who specializes in this should look at it.
Yeah.
But
That's
they'll
when you
have
just
more.
send them to an ortho.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just referred them out and I said like, see, this is an ortho I know here. These are two guys I know online that I have sent people prior to. They have great understanding, you know. You should probably want to work with them. They have a better understanding. I think it kind of comes down to that stuff. Like Kaushal said, like you want to kind of work with people.
Hmm.
Like I may program you like macros for someone, but if someone wants like, for example, one of the fighters wants to do something aggressive, I am like one of the fighters I do SNC work for wants to do something massively aggressive in terms of the dietary like overhaul for like a fight week. You kind of I would always advise someone, right? Because like I know personally this one person's tried this gut cut strategy, like as Steve Deno's video showed, but they had like a drastically negative reaction towards that in terms of gut microbiome health after the thing. And like, so I was like, you just need to kind of work with a professional, dude. Like, you need to work with someone that understands this thing much better.
Makes sense, yeah. And yeah, that's about
Uh,
communication.
Another thing here, I think a lot of people make mistakes is that when it comes to communication, athletes do not communicate enough about their injuries, like pain related stuff. I feel like they completely don't understand. See, when you have, I feel like in today's day and world, today's day and age, you kind of have to, as a powerlifting coach, you kind of have to have a very good understanding of biomechanics.
Yeah.
It's not like before anymore. So you kind of have to also understand what you can and can't do rehab wise.
Yeah.
Of course, we are not DPTs, we're not physios, but I would say that we are in a position at least better than most physios in this country to help with these kind of issues. So whenever I have lifters, like I had a lifter recently who got hurt, and then the guy just went to a physio, and then he came back telling me that, oh, he's got this tightness, and I was like, man, you need to shut the fuck up. Like, that is not the reason why you're having that. The
Yeah.
reason why you're having this pain is because you kept going off program multiple times, every single block, going and maxing out. And now, if you want me to fix it, I'll do it. But the guy was like, no, my physio told me like I need to start doing sumo belt squats. So, fine, go ahead.
And I'm just gonna throw this thing out there as well. Like I said, I'll throw this thing out. But like Kaushal, how many guys do you think physio wise like look at like a bone first model in India? Right?
No one.
No one, right?
No. Most 99% of physios will just tell you that this thing is tight. We can either needle it, and then like your left side is weak, so we'll do some specific workload to that. Your glute is not activated, so we'll do that. And then it's just them offloading off SBD, because when you off SBD, of course you're going to feel a little better when you're not doing the thing that causes you pain. And then once feeling a little better, you go back and then you get injured again anyway.
Yeah.
Because that is not actual rehab. Actual rehab is to get you
building low tolerance.
Like, good physios are not people who will tell you that don't do this because it's paining. They will tell you how much of that to do, how to do, what to fix, and then how to get back to doing it at full capacity.
How you can kind
That's
of
the
work
whole
around that.
Yeah, work around it and then on it, and then eventually get back to where you used to be. That's the whole point of being with a physio. Like, I remember when if I ever had, I had an ACL tear, and like most physios would be like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing any kind of squatting at all. But I worked with a physio that works with this, and he told me that I need to start squatting, but at very limited capacity.
Yeah.
So that I can at least ingrain the pattern, continue to keep using the pattern, and also keep getting the, because the only way you can get more blood flow and that
actually utilize the pattern.
Yeah, and actually utilize the pattern and also get like more blood flow towards that area along. See, there are different ways to do it also.
Yeah.
Like if it's very severe, then yes, then you need to refrain from what's actually causing issues, especially in situations where you have very visible swelling. Then the first step is going to be to like remove the swelling. Yeah. The first step is going to be of getting rid of swelling. And at any point of time, whenever the swelling is gone, and then you start reintroducing things, if the swelling starts to come back, then again you start to pull back. So you have to be see, these things can only happen if the athlete communicates. No, see, if I have
communication.
Because if I have swelling in my right knee and I keep doing it and I don't tell my coach is going to be like, oh, everything looks fine to me.
Yeah.
Right. And then my coach is going to be like, yeah, you can just load up. I want you to push more. But then you start.
How you end up with like an injury or something.
Yeah, and then you have even like you are in an even worse space than where you began. So that communication has to be there from both sides. Now, this is not to like mention, because most people will start complaining too much about like small things like, oh, during peaking, I'm feeling a little bit of joint stiffness. That's very normal.
To understand what is effective, like what actually matters that you want to kind of communicate on a regular basis, like things that actually move the needle compared to, again, as you said, things which are relatively pretty normal. I would say that like people who are quite literally complete beginners, they would have a hard time understanding the difference. Maybe in that case, if they have like an injury, it would be the coach's job to just kind of help them understand what is something that needs to be communicated on a very regular basis, like as Kaushal said, like swellings, pains, things like that. But if you're like a little bit more of an experienced athlete, you should try to understand what kind of moves the needle, what you need to communicate, and what can just it doesn't need to be said on such a regular basis. Like again,
Because
Yeah.
like you can just make like subtle changes, like creating space somewhere for someone
hmm,
may help them like significantly kind of like, you find length some like most common times someone comes with like a low back kind of a situation. You just kind of start to create some amount of like decompression there and like finding length elsewhere.
Yeah.
Naturally that person would, but like if a guy just comes and just never says that to me,
hmm,
like when Kaushal says something like a front foot elevator split squat, like what does that kind of do for us? It kind of positions the pelvis in a certain way. You get a little bit of expansion in a certain area. You learn how to kind of pronate the foot. You can learn how to drive through the foot. You kind of ingrain good patterns at some like very minimal loads. These kind of things have a cascading effect, and you can quickly kind of do this thing. And I'm a big believer in this thing. Rotation is the primary movement strategy for humans, right? You need to have some semblance of that in your kind of program to kind of promote that. That can come in many ways. You don't have to sit there and like twirl yourself like a towel,
Hmm.
but you can have that at like your, like even arm work, right? Like Kaushal, if
hmm.
someone kind of comes to you and talks about elbow pain, right? Automatically you have a choice in terms of arm work and like that shoulder blade work that you can kind of impose and like if need be, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you can like kind of just pull back on like there's a multitude of things that you can do. Like if it's coming towards the end of someone peaking their strength, you kind of know the cause and effect there. If
Hmm.
it's just starting off at like week one and they effectively coming like for example, like someone we know closely is Tapas, right? When he talks about his elbow pain when he was benching,
Uh,
it was so easy for me to fix. And he was
Hmm.
like he was like crippling
and
for like months.
and the thing is like this is like just we're going back like just back to like what you spoke about previously as well, having that this much trust in somebody. Like even when I told him previously before that with his elbow, with his knee as well, like this is wrong, you should probably not be doing this, don't listen to this, that um again that like setting like a coach on a pedestal and following everything like without any sort of critical thought. I
No,
Yeah.
because there's an element of fear, right? Like
Yeah,
in India,
element
like
of fear,
see,
exactly.
Norman kind of mentioned this that one barrier
He
to
didn't want to
communicating
ask
with.
him as well.
Yeah, like in Asian cultures, especially East Asian cultures, Central Asian cultures, there's almost a hierarchy scene of like, Mada
Yeah,
Pita Guru Devam kind of a situation
yeah,
there, right? So like guys are kind of afraid to like say certain things. And I asked this guy very openly, like, when we do this, what do you feel? And he was like, it feels a lot better. All right.
hmm,
Hmm.
Like it's as simple as like, why would I give him like a feet up like shoulder press in his warm up, right? I just want his shoulder blades to behave a certain way. And the second that thing kind of like started doing that, the pain in the other realm goes off, right? And like if he didn't have that trust in me, it's almost like you like sometimes a person when their trust is broken, it's almost like my opinion, it's just me, is like I think sometimes you kind of have to give them a little extra like leeway in terms of like
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of understanding that they're human. Like because this person was afraid to tell me the fact that they had like crippling like knee pain, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And like the second we like kind of he just spoke out about that thing, everything got better,
Yeah.
right? Because like I also want people to understand like there's the when we look at pain, we all look at it through a BPS lens. At least I do, and I'm sure like Kaushal does as well. Right, that was you as well, right? There's pain can be biological, psychological, or sociological. Like that, and these things are like kind of interconnected with everything, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
Obviously. So
Yeah.
like my thing is like sometimes, dude, sometimes just not being around an asshole makes you pain free,
Yeah.
right?
absolutely. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah,
I
right.
mean,
Like,
that's usually why you'll see some people like they're stuck with the coach that they don't really like, but they
yeah.
don't like to tell
Mm,
them. And then they move to a new coach and then suddenly they start doing so much
mm.
better. And it's not even like the programming changes majorly. It's mostly just that the coach previously was just
the
not nice.
relationship just
Yeah, it just changes. So you're like in a much better place where you're not taking mental pressure of whether that coach cares about you or not, whether they're invested in your process or not.
hmm.
So once you're like, yeah, I mean, the previous guy was like this, but the new guy is nice.
Yeah.
And then you automatically start doing better because you unintentionally start putting in
There's
more
more
effort.
buy-in.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is more buy-in.
See,
Yeah.
effective
Like we talk, yeah,
communication,
yeah,
athlete buy-in, and then intent kind of like cascades into it. All right. So
yeah.
essentially, like if we kind of think about this episode, if you reverse engineer it,
Yeah.
good communication, smart communication, effective communication, both ends creates buy-in to this system. And this once the system is bought in, like that internal load, like if you read Franco Impellisary's like thing on like external and internal load, you can design whatever program you want. But if you're a jackass, it becomes very hard to kind of like get into that kind of
Yeah.
situation, right? I know a guy, for example, my friend Kaler in Canada, right? The guy does 531. Like that's it. Jim Wendler's 531, right? He loves that program. He is stronger than most humans ever alive. The first time he got a coach that kind of gave him like a little bit more DUP style kind of programming, he just never bought into it. He just didn't care. Like no matter what anyone said, he was just like, yeah, after 3 weeks, he was like, yeah, I'm done with this stuff. And he went back to that thing.
Mm.
Right. But like one thing Kayla told me was like the guy just never told me any of the reasons why to do this thing.
Mm.
So then I was like, like it makes sense. Like for example, if this Sunfood elevator split squat example Kaushal gave is like nobody likes doing that thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like it burns, it cramps things up that shouldn't be cramping, but that is all the more like showing us the fact that capsular space at the hip is kind of becoming what we need it to kind of become. All right. So like if I explain that torturous situation to a person, they're like I explained it to guys like, dude, are you feeling this? He was like, yeah, man, it's a lot. I was like, great,
Great.
right? Next day we wake up and I asked him like, yo, how's things feeling? He's like, my knee feels a lot freer, man.
Yeah.
Like, like Kaushal, nobody likes doing calf hamstring bridges on that foam roller, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You ever met a guy who says, yeah, I'm looking forward to that shit?
yeah.
No,
No one
like,
does.
yeah, that guy's either like, that guy's a freak if he likes that stuff, right?
Mm.
But giving someone that thing and building that co-contraction of the calf and the hamstring to stabilize the knee makes like swell, for example, like issues regarding the patella, issues regarding like a lot of stiffness at the knee, rotational limitations. Because the hamstrings, like, see, I'm not gonna unless the guy asks, I'm not gonna sit here and yak on to him about like what the distal hamstring is gonna start to do, what
Yeah,
are the
yeah.
medial and lateral side. But like if the guy wants it, I'll just kind of tell him. And then I feel like that may allow the buy-in, but it's not going to be deep into biomechanics,
Yeah.
right? Right. But like, I think just because someone doesn't communicate pain, and like Norman went over this a lot, where he was like this hierarchy thing. It's
Mhm.
important to trust your coach, but it is not. It is important not see them as like a godly figure
God,
kind of a
yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Because then you won't even talk. Because I have a guy like this. He's like, I don't want to ask my teacher too many questions. I've been taught not to ask my teacher questions, and he never
Jesus
talks.
Christ, dudes.
So I'm like, you need to start talking. You need to tell me what's happening. You need to tell me what is going on. Because there's so many times where there's weeks of zero discussion, zero update, zero communication. And I'm like, are you even continuing? I don't know. Like, should I keep your spot? Should I give it to somebody else? What am I supposed to do? I'll be like, no, I'll make the payment. I'm like, okay, fine, you're making the payment, but then what's happening?
Yeah.
Are you even training? Do I know what's going on? Then he'll be like, no, actually, there's something going on. Like, my mom was sick. Then tell me that. No. It takes 2 seconds to just be like, mom is sick. Sorry, I can't train. Done. I'll
Yeah.
be like, okay, no problem. I understand. So you need to say such things. And also, like,
Wait.
I think one of the biggest parts here is like, you can completely avoid misunderstandings if you know how to communicate better. Because I had a guy who used to ask me a question, and every single time I'd answer, he'd send me an eye rolling upward emoji.
I remember.
Yeah, and I used to get so frustrated. I'm like, you asked me the question, motherfucker. I gave you the answer. What's the problem? And and then he like every time I told him the answer to something, he would just be like, I'd be like, what do you mean?
What?
You're
That's not
agreeing,
what
you're not
he
agreeing.
meant.
Yeah. Like but that's not what he meant. He
Yeah.
thought that emoji means he's doing yes like this.
Yeah.
He was like, like that.
Yeah, he thought that's what the emoji meant. And every single time he'd send me that, it used to piss me off so much because I'm like, you asked me a question, I gave you the answer. You're not happy with my answer. I don't understand what you want. And every single time he'd keep doing that. So that went on for months because I don't want to like, see, I never wanted to go and like be too much like, what does that mean? What do you mean? I started fighting with him. And one day I just asked him, I was like, what does that mean? Can you just tell me what that means? Because I don't understand. And then he was like, no, I respect you a lot. I am actually agreeing with you. I was like, that's not what that means.
It's like he wants to
What
send you an
not?
eggplant emoji and be like, yeah, eat your vegetables, right?
No, but there are people like that. That's why you need to be able to communicate. Like if you don't know what emojis means, don't use them.
Don't you?
Yeah.
You will just, yeah, you will confuse people further. Because I used to be like, what am I doing wrong? I don't understand. Like, am I stupid or is he stupid? Which one of us is stupid? And every single time I'd be like, I don't get it. I'm trying to tell him something, but this guy seems very disrespectful. And then I asked him one day, I was like, why do you do that? Like that weird ass emoji you keep sending me. He's like, oh, that's the emoji to agree. No, I was like, no, that's not
Yeah.
the emoji to agree with anything. Yeah, so you have to like see that can avoid that whole thing. No, if you just talk to me properly, which is like that's how you should learn. Like, so I'll tell you one more thing, right? Because I get this a lot, and that's how I go off of like even whether I want to even take somebody on. Is when I specifically post a story saying that I don't have training slots, and you keep asking me for training slots on that story. Either you can't read, or you don't want to follow instructions, or you can read but you choose to ignore my instructions, which is disrespectful. So I don't want to work with you anyway. I think like I know people will be like, oh, you're looking too much into it, you're being too much of a judgmental person here. But that tells me a lot, because when people don't do stuff like that, they don't follow up after that. You're just wasting your time after that. That's why I don't even bother responding. Like I get so many people like this. It's so simple. When somebody says I don't have slots, means they don't have slots. You can just ask, okay, how do I know whether you'll have it? And I usually mention it there that I'll post it on stories. So it's pretty
Also,
simple. If you choose to ignore that instruction, then I'm going to be like, you don't want to
yeah,
follow what I'm saying.
absolutely. Yeah. Also, just like the hello, hi messages.
Yeah, those are also like they talk after that now, because I don't know what you mean. What hello, hi, after that what? Because
Like,
it's just like, do you want to join? Do you want something else, or is it some random question? Because at this point, I used to do that a lot, where I used to reply for free to everybody. But
That's how
like I
we
said,
became friends.
yeah, that's how we became friends, because he sent something and I just responded to him normally. But like nowadays, I don't do that anymore, because I don't have the bandwidth to do that anymore. But I have to keep talking to so many of the people who are already paying me. Like, I don't know, there's like I've always wanted to say this, but there's something called as the Eisenhower
uh-huh.
matrix, like which you distribute based off of urgency.
Mhm.
Important but can be delayed, important has to be done right now, important can be done later, or you don't need to do it, stuff like that. And my precedence will always be about like my clients who are paying. That will always be number one. The ones who are paying will always take precedence. After that, there'll be other people who I might answer. Then there'll be family, then there'll be like my own training, stuff like that. So I'm going to have all of that before I start answering things for free to somebody that I don't even know.
Hmm.
Like, you have to understand, like, that's not me being an asshole. That is me distributing my 24 hours.
And it
If I
makes
can
sense if
answer, I'll answer.
yeah, it makes sense to think of it empathetically also. Like if you're somebody who's, I'm gonna tell you like this story like later, but if you're somebody who's coming like oh, he's an asshole, he's not answering me. Like think of put yourself in like the client's shoe as well. Like if somebody is your client, they would want your attention more than you answering those people if like it takes your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, because a lot of people do this thing, but they're not answering their clients' thing, but they're
Yeah.
sitting in the comment section of other powerlifting girls being like, yes, let's go. I've seen that,
Yeah.
where like programs are not updated, they're not replying to clients. Clients are coming and asking me,
Mm-hmm.
like, my coach is not updated. What should I do? And I'm like, what the fuck do I know?
What do I do? Yeah.
But then you see that the coach is like in the comment section of somebody, some female going on like, yeah, amazing bench press. Like, I've seen things like that. So you have to see, that's also another thing. No, like, people don't leave coaches like this because of the same thing that you mentioned. They either feel like they're friends with the coach,
Hmm.
or like they're like too scared to say or do something. Like, you have to be able to say these things, like assuming that the communication is bad.
Hmm.
Some people are too needy. Like, I have some people who'll be like, oh, you didn't like no message for like 3 minutes, sir. Are you there? There. What do you mean? Like, that's a little too much.
Yes. No. And yeah, honestly, like little side note, we posted that question thing yesterday, question sticker.
Hmm.
I had a dude reply. he sent like 4 messages. I think they were like paragraphs, and then he not paragraphs like pretty long, and then he was like a humble request. I really like Kaushal sir has been like ignoring me for like 8 months. I really want to get coached by him.
Yeah, I knew that would come.
But yeah,
Like that's one of the guys I'm talking about. Like when I say that I don't have slots and you keep asking me for slots, what reply you want from me?
that's what they were like asking. Like, can you like tell him about me? And I'm like, what do you expect me to do? Like, yeah, I was supposed to let you know. I let you know what. Fucking hell.
But I don't have slots.
Yeah, there's no
I'm
slot.
posting that almost every day.
Yeah,
How can I make specific space for you when I don't even
exactly,
know you?
exactly.
Like it's not about oh you
It's
talked
nothing
to me
personal.
once. Yeah, it's not personal. That's what people don't understand. They take it very this thing. I don't like you're not my best friend or something. No, where I can be like, okay, for you, I'll make space. It's fine. Right. Even my friends understand that now. They don't ask. Even like the closest of my friends don't ask. They don't come and be like, what'll you do anyway? Come, we'll go here, we'll do that. They'll be like, this guy has a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
So they don't bother me. Even my best friends don't bother me like that. So like and the more you keep asking, the more I'm going to be like, this guy's extremely needy. Like if this guy is like this before paying, how is he going to be after paying?
After paying.
Right? If this guy's asking me, he's sending me multiple messages every single day for 8 months straight, how is he going to be after he joins?
This is like what Jay said, like regarding what Norman said. Like if he's gonna take 90% of your time, and it's gonna
Yeah. I don't
affect
have that kind of bandwidth neither. Like and I'll tell you, if I respond to him and I tell him this also, he'll be like, no, I promise you I won't disturb you. That's also not good. Like zero feedback and nothing is also not good.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly.
You shouldn't
But yeah.
live in extreme like that.
I think this is where like I just think like high level autonomy, like online coaching, yes, you are supporting the client, you are supporting the athlete, but they need to develop an element of autonomy as well to kind of like have an objective communication standard with someone. Because like also said, if someone is like sometimes you just get a guy saying my wrist hurts, right? Or like my pinky hurts, and you're like sometimes when people communicate, I'd say effective communication. I always ask people to communicate pain on a pain scale. Because someone can say I'm in pain, and they're like, man, it's a 2 out of 10. I'm like, I mean, you're playing a sport, all right? But if they're like, I'm in pain, but it's like an 8 out of 10, and the range of motion is limited, and I have swelling there, then like the emergency given to that can be like kind of different, right? Because sometimes it's like you may just misgroove a bar somehow, or you may just place it in your hand wrong, or you may just get like a whoopsie daisy, and like something small may happen, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's also important, like you're not there in person. So like when a guy, for example, will do a top set and kind of like strain something, I kind of in my like athlete initial notes, like in my video explaining like how the system works, I tell like, well, if you do have like thing like this thing, I would much prefer like if it's a strain that we kind of skip on the thing for right time being, right? And then you kind of just like avoid anything that highly irritates that area, right? Just like a little bit of it. But like sometimes people won't do that. A guy sent me a thing recently saying, I didn't like I had the strain, but I still did the back offs and the strain got worse. I mean, like we communicated in the very beginning not to do this thing, right? That's I think like the slide saying strategies to maximize output via communication. I just say like initial guidelines being sent is very effective from a coach's standpoint, like how the system should work, and it's kind of important for like the athlete to kind of take that information and actually think about it and reflect about it like right away, right?
This is like this is also something that can increase an athlete's trust in just your processes,
Yeah.
how you understand, how you program, right? Like if you're able to set a standard that this sort of this sort of information is something I want you to tell me, and after that I will be the one to analyze. You can just trust me after that point. If you like set that before beginning itself, before something major happens, then you can kind of like not be assured. Obviously, as Kaushal said, like there'll be some people who just don't listen at the end, but like to some extent it'll be better because you can kind of be assured that when something does go wrong or if something does go wrong, they will be like they'll trust you and they'll come to you and they'll tell you.
Yeah.
And that by itself is like it's a pretty great thing because it helps you to work things out together rather than having this sort of a guesswork.
And like Norman's like communication model of perception, judgment, and action, right? Like I always try to create like an element of common perception on things that we're trying to kind of create. right? And then I'll see how do their judgment play out in terms of that. Because like if you know someone's judgment is poor, the more and their actions are a reflection of that judgment that they've made on a certain perception. Like for example, someone just thinks like when they join you, they think, yeah, I have to be very heel heavy, I have to pre-hinge a lot, right? Their perception of like why they may do it, they intend for the best outcome, but you kind of will have to communicate with them like in a very systematic way. Like we don't want to do this. This is the focus, right? Then they can kind of create a judgment based off of that, and they can apply the action, right? And I think all we can do is provide information, right? All they need to do is at least critically think. For a while, I think a lot of times critical thinking, because we live in a such a social
complex.
media, like we live in like moments of like quick responses, quick dopamine. The ability to sit still and actually reflect and think on something is in a way a lost art. And like I think if you can develop that, you can communicate with your own self better, and therefore you're able to communicate with your coach even better. So if you can actually kind of develop your like mindset a little bit as well, that really would help you as like an athlete.
Yeah,